We are back. Everyone, Happy New Year. This is the first podcast back. Hope you've all had a safe and a good New Year. And I've got a very special guest today, probably for the last time for a very long time, Ravi Hammond.
Thank you for having me.
How you going?
I'm doing really well.
You are?
Thanks for having me on the podcast.
You've been a busy, smart boy.
Yeah, working really hard. Yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
How did all your study go? Aced it?
It's I didn't ace it as much as I wanted to. You have all these big dreams going into your masters and your research, and it's the story that so many postgraduate students tell me when I first go in, like, you always plan for this, but you usually never get to that point, like, because it's, research takes away like so much longer than you think it does. But I ended up, wrapping it up nicely. I'm happy with what I had, but I think I'm just basically treating the masters as a learning experience, and when I go into my PhD, then now I'm much better prepared for it, really. Yeah.
And for everyone who didn't watch the first episode, or for anyone who jumped on the podcast afterwards, do you just want to explain what your degree and masters and all that is in?
Yeah, so I am doing, my bachelor's was in computer science, computer programming, and my master's, it's a master's by research in artificial intelligence, working on the field of multi-agent reinforcement learning. So that basically means you have multiple AI that are collaborating together, and those AI learn how to do whatever task they're given to do by experience. So they play a billion games, and then they learn how to do it like that, as opposed to the classical supervised learning AI where humans give expert data and they just learn to copy the expert data. So that's a recap of what I'm doing.
And this has taken you to going to Oxford University.
Yeah, for exchange.
Exchange.
For exchange for 6 months, yeah.
So it'll be 6 months.
Yeah. So
and then from there, obviously, if it goes well, you could...
So the dream is to do a PhD with them. And I have found a professor who's in the exact field that I'm really excited about. And I'm basically going to work my ass off and hopefully impress him enough that he is keen to take me on for a PhD. So I'll apply. So I'll finish in July this year, and I'll be applying for a PhD October at the end of the year. So I've got some work to do.
Is most universities now in that, because AI it's not new, but it's exploded in like the last 5 years. So a lot of universities kind of building infrastructure to have AI research and stuff there? Or is it pretty set now?
No, it is growing. The big thing that universities didn't have that they're trying to build themselves up now, so they do have, is they need lots of computation. So, these big ChatGPT and all the big crazy models that are out here now, all of them, to be able to train them, you need tens of thousands, millions of dollars worth of GPUs you're sitting in-house. And if you want all of your PhDs, students to be able to do good research that is actually cutting edge, that can compete with the big dogs, you're going to have to pay hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars and to build like an in-house cluster within the university. Or some universities are going down the route where they are giving all of their PhD students access to cloud resources like Amazon or Google, and instead of having like a cluster in-house in the university, they're forking out money to give GPUs that are sitting in a warehouse somewhere in Amazon. So like basically that's like the transition that all these universities are trying to like transition to be able to do good research.
And congratulations on your program.
The RSP program. Are you referring to
the one where you kind of tutor people into big tech interviews.
Oh, right. You're talking about the award that was won recently?
Yes.
Right, yeah. Thank you, yeah.
Yeah, congrats.
Thanks,
Citizen
man.
of the Year, is it?
It feels so weird to say that, yeah.
I was telling my missus last night, I was like, oh, he's won Citizen of the Year. She's like, how the fuck do you win Citizen of the Year?
Yeah, it's all a lot at once. You know, Oxford and the Citizen of the Year. It's I think with the program, it's been something that I've kind of been doing in my own little bubble, in my own world, and no one has really known about it apart from speaking to you about it on the podcast last time. But
which is crazy because it's a massive, it's a pretty cool thing, and it seemed like it was like the Marines training for fucking AI, for big tech interviews, because you were ruthless with your like criteria for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is what you probably need to be in those big companies.
Exactly. You know, it's what the big companies already expect from the applicants already, and if students aren't like ruthlessly prepared, they're gonna completely flunk the interviews when they come around anyways. So
Oh, sorry.
All good.
All good.
You can edit that part out.
Oh, all good.
Yeah. No. So basically, like, you know, these companies are ruthless anyways, and it's in the student's best interest to experience that ruthlessness preemptively, so they're all kind of prepared for like the harshness of the actual interviews. So that's kind of like the main thing that I think a lot of the students really appreciate is just the slap in the face of reality that this is how hard it's going to be. So may as well experience that slap in the face now instead of like getting rejected by Google or something.
You had an insane success rate with that too, didn't you?
Yeah, it was like a 30% of Google Australia last year came from my program, which is bonkers numbers. Yeah, it's bonkers numbers.
They should be paying you.
This is
it's a training program.
It's a training program, yeah, and we're kind of like, you know, we're kind of doing a part of the recruiter's job for them as well, because they try and filter out who is good and who is not, and that's exactly what our program does. You know, the fact that only the people that are still working hard remain in the program, it kind of self-filters for the recruiters. And that's a big part of why I'm turning it into a non-profit organization at the moment, because we can definitely get funding from this. And so basically, I've got a founding team of 4, and we're currently in conversation with some accountants, and we're trying to set it up as a non-profit, and already got like Adelaide University keen to be our first sponsor, and I'm working with some family friends to figure out a business model of how I'm going to pitch it to like Google and stuff. Like, what is the exact thing I'm going to pitch, and like what is my ask, and what is the budget, and I'm planning how am I going to try and approach these companies that I'm producing top talent for, and try and figure out how I can get them to pay us, I guess.
Ask ChatGPT.
I will ask ChatGPT. I have been asking ChatGPT a lot of things recently.
It's weird. It's cool how you run it, because you almost. I want to say pyramid scheme, but there's no money involved. So like from memory, the people that passed, you would almost make them tutors for the future students as well, and they would help out. So it's like a revolving circle. It's perfect.
It's just, yeah.
The word pyramid scheme sounds dirty, but it's just the setup of it. It's like you will teach these people, and then they will pass with flying colours, and eventually they will teach other people.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a pay it forward type situation. And that's kind of what I tell everyone in the information seminar, and even in the end of program barbecue at the end, we do a big speech, and basically like the last thing we tell everyone is, you know, this program is free for you, and it's always free. You'll never have to pay anything, but there is one way you can pay us, and that is by training the next group of students. So that's like the deal we have with them is like, we train you for free, and then you train the next person. It's like the deal.
Have you ever thought about like programming or setting up an AI to teach your course?
I hadn't considered like 100%,
because you could program giving
it over to an AI, but like we are thinking about how to make it easier, because right now there's a lot of it's manual, and we haven't actually harnessed considering we're all software engineers, but we haven't yet harnessed software to
more streamlined way.
it. So two of the founders, so there's like 4 founders, and everyone that's joining the nonprofit are all ex-students that have helped run the program in the past. So everyone understands the mission. And
do you run this in Discord?
Discord is where we do all the communication, and it's where a lot of the program happens. But 2 of the founders, one of them was interning at Google and another at Amazon. So I've got some really bright people who are keen on the program, and they're spearheading a website that's going to be streamlining like the whole process. And the idea is like we want to expand to multiple countries, and it takes way too long to manage all the students as it is, because it's also manual. So we want to have a website that students can apply to, and all the information is there, and a bunch of the work that the mentors have to do, such as like tracking all their students and figuring out who is working and who isn't working. Currently that's really, really manual, and it just takes so long for us as the coordinators of the program and the mentors to figure out who is doing well and who isn't doing well. And we can have a website do a lot of that work for us. It can check what everyone's doing, and it can provide us with the statistics of these people haven't done anything this week and these people have. So it can like basically highlight them for us.
Yeah.
So that's this year's project. And basically there is, like, we have had some talks about like maybe like what aspects of that could we improve with AI. Like having AI do the entire thing. I think like a big part of why people want to do the program is because they're being taught.
It's human interaction.
They're being taught by people who have done it, and like it's not the same. I think if you have AI take over completely. So maybe there's like aspects of it. For example, one thing is whenever students do interview problems. There's a website where they can grab interview problems and practice them, and it'll give them a random one of like from a pool of 2,000 questions or something like that. And these questions are programming questions, and they're all in different topics. So there's like 20 different categories, and they have to kind of get good at all 20 of them. So a possibility is maybe we can use an AI to deliver them the next question, and it can do that intelligently. So it can figure out like what is the best question for them that will help them. So like maybe we can have some sort of like narrow AI that will help in specific problems. But that's like a future endeavor to hook that up. Yeah.
With your program, you could essentially, if someone had like the structure of your program, they could copy and paste it into ChatGPT and go make this applicable for this field, and it would almost like rewrite it and make it more specified to another field.
Yeah, that's definitely something that a ChatGPT style program could do. I think the current ChatGPT maybe doesn't understand some of the intricacies enough.
What's it at? GPT-4.
GPT-4, and it's really, really good. But I think the thing is about the current program and how I've got it working is I've kind of tailored it because I understand the minds of students who have never coded before, and I understand what to say to motivate them and even make them believe in themselves in the first place. And I know that in the context of software engineering, but if we're applying that to something else, I don't know, trading, for example, it's a different field, or I'm not sure, being an architect, trying to get a job at a company, or banking, what have you. I'm not sure if I can be confident that the current ChatGPT will understand that specific nuance. It's like really, really good, but like there are some nuances that it isn't good at yet. And I think GPT 6, 7, 8, 9, like they will get there, but I think the current one is like it's slightly off in that regard. Yeah.
It's the AI is getting since we last talked to now, which was probably I'd say 7 months ago, maybe. Yeah. I'd say roughly 8 months ago. Maybe, it was mid-year.
Maybe a year or something.
Yeah, almost a year.
Yeah.
Since we last talked, AI has gone insane. Yeah. Like the things you can do now. Like you can upload a 10-minute chunk of this podcast and it'll make it into like 10 short form clips for Instagram and TikTok and stuff.
Yeah.
With subtitles, and it'll cut out all the bits it doesn't find necessary. It's insane. just little things like that. I'm sure there's a lot more, but little things like that to make like life easier. It's insane.
It's really, really insane. Just the amount of like thinking you don't have to do anymore because of AI. It's scary, that like the idea that we don't have to think much anymore. But it also, like, I've always been quite optimistic about AI, and I think I'm really excited about the fact that it's so empowering. For someone who wants to get into the podcast industry, and you don't necessarily, you're working 3 jobs and you don't have the time to do all these things, then suddenly we have this AI that can like suddenly it's kind of like it's you don't have to already be successful to do some of the things that you couldn't have done before now because we have AI, right? It's kind of democratizing some of these skills, I think.
It's making a lot of things more accessible to people. In the last, I don't know, because obviously people didn't watch it that as much as they're watching it now, but ChatGPT's been around for years. Yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure like at least 6.
It wasn't ChatGPT before, it was just GPT.
Oh, right.
So the difference was, what it was before was it was an AI where you could just give it a prompt and it will respond. There wasn't this
fluidity,
this back and forth thing because now you can give it a prompt and it will respond, and then you can be like, oh, actually, I didn't mean it in this way. I meant it in this way, and it will use the entire context. And it will basically they've got the GPT model, and then they've fine-tuned it using humans in the loop, actually using reinforcement learning. So they've gotten basically this really, really smart language model and fine-tuned it so it really knows how to speak to humans specifically. So like it's essentially the same thing, but yeah, they've that whole process of getting it to work well with humans. The first time that's happened was ChatGPT, but before that, they've been working on these like foundational language models for the past 6 years, like you've said. Yeah.
The geek in me is so excited for when they start implementing like ChatGPT technology into video games. For NPCs.
That'd be cool.
That would be so cool for an RPG or something.
It's gonna happen, man.
Like a Grand Theft Auto or an RPG with ChatGPT, like NPCs running around that you can have fluid conversations with. Yeah, dude. With a VR headset. You have to stay away from video games. Actually, that consume you.
Yeah. It would be great. That would be an insane experience.
That'll make you relapse for sure.
What
was the game?
It was RuneScape.
Yeah. you don't go on that anymore.
I think I logged on a few years ago, and my account was hacked, and I lost it. So I'm like, it was probably a good thing in the end.
One of my mates, Jacob, he was obsessed with it, and it was only like 6 years ago or something. He rang me and he's like, dude, I'm going to give you my password, log into it, change the password, and just like get rid of my account or something, because he was going nuts with it.
Yeah, I had a friend do the same thing with me. It's really, really addictive. Like, hence why I failed U12, because it was
which is a crazy story. For people who haven't listened to the first podcast, that more explains like his background and how he got to where he is now. But yeah, you've failed year 12, addicted to video games, kind of not much of a drive for schooling, and now you're kicking goals going to Oxford University.
Yeah, it was a crazy ride. I didn't really feel the motivation to do much when I was in high school, and it wasn't like I was like sitting tests and I wasn't really good enough for them. I just had no real motivation for career and had a lot of life, crap that was happening at the time. And I'm not sure what it is. I think computer games bred me to be extremely competitive, and I was probably always really competitive already.
You're definitely born with competitiveness.
Definitely, yeah. Like a big issue with my life is a lot of my friends really don't like to play board games with me because I guess get too fixated on it. Cheers. I get too fixated on winning, and it's
board games.
It's an issue. It's an
board
issue for me.
games are a weird one because I'm not the most competitive person. I'm competitive in different aspects, but say like games wise, as soon as you get Monopoly out, I turn into a savage.
Yeah, it's like there are some games that like for me it's the Settlers of Catan. I just get a bit intense, and I've had multiple friends refuse to play me that I used to play with for years, and then there was like one game that was too far where I was like and I'm really trying to rein back my
competitiveness.
My competitiveness.
You're gonna need that over in Oxford. Where is Oxford based? What region?
It's like an hour away from London. So like northwest of London.
Is it Oxford?
Oxford is like the town.
Yeah.
And it's like an hour train ride from the centre of London.
Have you been to London before?
I was there for like 5 days on like a big Europe trip that I was doing. I was kind of pretty wasted the entire time. So I remember
a little bit.
A little bit of it, yeah.
Are you going to travel around while you're there, or are you like for work purposes and study purpose, or are you going to basically just stay there the whole time?
I have no reason for work to take me anywhere else.
You're going to be so central to everything in Europe.
Yeah, well, I actually found out 2 days ago that I have a second cousin in UK, which I didn't realize I did, and I've already been in conversation, and I had a Zoom call with them recently, and so I'll connect with them, and they live in London, so I'm keen to go and meet them. But I guess like the only thing that I can think of in terms of traveling outside of Oxford might be to see if I can get some sort of connection with someone from Cambridge and like see if I can go there.
Cambridge is the other big one in the UK, isn't it?
Oxford and Cambridge are the two ones, and like may as well get hit two birds with one stone maybe. But in the end, it's not what it's about. It's about really impressing the professor. Yeah.
Is the end goal America?
Yeah, like I haven't really decided like where yet. Obviously, there's a lot of money in America and a lot of opportunities. So if I want to start like an AI company one day, obviously America is.
Is OpenAI based in America?
OpenAI is based in America, but DeepMind is based in London. So like, it's either going to be London or somewhere.
And those are the two big hitters in the AI kind of scene, aren't they?
Yeah, I would say there's probably there's. A lot of the big tech companies are all doing big, amazing things, but I would say there's DeepMind, there's Google Brain, which is kind of similar to DeepMind, and they're the same overall company.
I was going to say, is Google doing much with it? Because you don't really ever hear about. I guess you would because you're in that space, but common people, like common public, wouldn't really know that Google's doing anything with AI.
Yeah, so Google own DeepMind, so they are like.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, they bought them a while ago. Classic big tech companies like.
I'm surprised they haven't tried to buy. Oh, I'm sure they have tried to buy OpenAI.
Well, Microsoft essentially bought them.
Yeah.
So that's where they got all their money from. was Microsoft, but I guess like the big heavy hitters to answer that question it would be like Google and they have DeepMind. There's OpenAI. And I would say Meta or Facebook AI are also pretty big hitters as well. But in terms of the question about what have Google done, they they have their own internal AI group called Google Brain, and funnily enough, ChatGPT, I'm sure that all the listeners have heard of ChatGPT by now. Big crazy AI model that can tell you anything you want. The most important part that makes that thing work. Like deep down within the brain structure, it's this thing called a transformer. And a group from Google Brain were the ones that invented that thing. So like they invented that, I'm not sure, like 4 years ago maybe, and it got published, and then everyone started using it, and then OpenAI grabbed it, and they ended up turning it into ChatGPT. So like a lot of them, it's like all of the big breakthrough has never been one company. They've invented everything by themselves and then they've released it. All these big, giant, crazy breakthroughs that we keep seeing, a lot of the technology has been in the community for a few years, and then one company with buckets of money just suddenly scale it up like times a million. Yeah. And then, oh crap, this thing is actually superhuman if we scale it up times a million and spend $100 million on training it. like funny that. So that's kind of what ChatGPT is. They didn't really invent a lot of what they did. They just got the state of the art ideas and just
went crazy with it.
Threw millions of dollars at it. Yeah.
Didn't Google like have an emergency meeting when ChatGPT came around because they were like, oh no, we're actually not the shit anymore. Like, I was going insane with it because Ants told me about it on the podcast live.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's a ChatGPT? And he's like, I was on it for like 4 hours. I was in disbelief. It's
crazy.
And there's still people that don't know about it. Like, they're probably the older generation and stuff, but if you show it to them, they can't grasp the concept. They're like, oh, it's just a computer. You're like, it's a computer. Like, it's a AI doing that.
Yeah. Well, why don't we I'll pull up something and we can like just so the listeners can get a grasp of like the craziness of this. So maybe ask it saying like, write a poem about, and what's something ridiculous that there'd definitely be no poem about. Like, write a poem
about Ravi Hammond going to Oxford
and speaking on a podcast.
But say it like Eminem.
Yeah, say it like Eminem. Yeah.
It'll oh no!
Either the engine you requested does not exist, or there was another issue.
It might be my internet.
The internet might be broken.
Yeah, no, it's my internet's down. 1 sec.
So
here we go.
So while he's restarting that, so essentially, it will. ChatGPT has seen the entire internet, and it has basically learnt the patterns of essentially every single piece of text that has ever been uploaded to the internet. And if humans have ever spoken about it, then it knows what to do. But the thing is, it's learnt to generalize beyond that. So there has probably never been a poem about Ravi Hammond going to Oxford speaking on a podcast, but instead, as if Eminem was saying it, there has never really been that. But this AI has learnt it knows who Eminem is, it knows how Eminem speaks, it's learnt the patterns of his behavior, it understands what I've said, and then it knows how to rewrite the poem.
I was going
in this way.
Absolutely crazy with poems and like raps.
Yeah.
Because my friends didn't know about ChatGPT yet. And they were like, where are you getting all of these
crazy things, yeah.
But here it is. So if you go here, regenerate. Should work straight away.
Okay, so it's Ravi Hammond. Hold on.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it goes pretty crazy. I'll read the first couple little paragraphs. So,
oh my God, sorry. Here we go.
Yo, it's Ravi Hammond stepping up to the plate. Oxford calling, gotta speak, can't be late. On the mic, like Eminem, spitting fire. Podcast flow taking you higher, like crazy.
And there's just like paragraphs of it.
And then the crazy one is like, say, now rewrite it, but as a bitchy teenage girl. Rewrite it again. A teenage girl.
Sorry, I've got to get used to typing with one hand.
Yeah, no worries.
There we go. So bang, it's straight away.
All right. So, yo, it's Ravi Hammond, Oxford bound. Spilling truths on a podcast, gotta throw down. Like seriously, seriously, he's on the mic, Oxford stage, gonna do it right. It understands these things, and you can say now rewrite it as a cowabunga surfer dude, and it's like, hey man, spitting wet. Yeah, it understands.
It's insane that how do teachers mitigate? Like, how do teachers decipher their year 5 students not using ChatGPT now? Is there software to do that now?
This is a big contentious issue that's happened.
Well, yeah, because everyone's going to be stupid.
Yeah, this is This is one of the most dangerous parts of our education system. Kids are always wanting to find ways out of this, and they don't understand the repercussions of not learning and going through the hardship themselves. A part of why we become so smart after a full 12 years of high school is because you go through those painful moments of fucking up and failing a assignment here, and that pain makes you make sure that you learn how to do it better next time, right? But with this catch-all where you can just be like, oh, this is what I've written so far, could you finish it for me, or could you help me write it, or could you give me some more ideas? What it means is students, like obviously some students are going to just, let ChatGPT do their entire work. But I think the real danger is a lot of students won't do that because they'll understand, their parents will teach them about it and in time, but they'll know it exists, and likely they'll use ChatGPT to help fix some things, right?
Yeah.
And I'm finding myself using it already, right? I'm trying to write something, I'm trying to write a grant or an application for a scholarship, and I thought,
see, for things like grants or for podcast bios, like if after this, it can do it better. I'm just not a very eloquent, or I'm not an eloquent person. I don't type eloquently. I don't have the best vocabulary to explain things. So it's so much easier for me to just go on ChatGPT and type in, I did a podcast with Ravi. He has this, and this accolade. He does this. Write it out, but dumb it down a bit. And it'll do it.
Exactly. And what I'm finding myself is I attempt to write eloquently, and then I'll put it in, so like if I need to do a speech or something, and I just want to make sure that it sounds correct, right?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff, it matters to sound correct. So I just put it into ChatGPT and say, hey, could you please just, fix the grammar of this, please? And it'll just rewrite exactly the way it was, but just make it just fix any little grammar inconsistencies, or maybe even realize that, hey, that sentence that I say in the fourth paragraph should probably be said first, and it will know how to reword it. So that's how it's really, really, really good for adults who understand how to write, and we understand how to learn, and it really just makes us better. But the issue is the developing brain. It's the children who are 5 years old, 7, 8, 12, 13. It's those brains who they are going to not learn how to learn properly, and they need to experience the pain of failure to really use that pain to help improve themselves. But they're walking into a world now where AI is going to, using AI, it's a guarantee that they're never going to fail, right? But to address your question that you had before, is there a way for us to detect if it's AI?
You would have to use AI.
So there have already been attempts where people have already created companies where they're using AI to help, to basically, it's a website, I think it's called GPT Zero or something, and basically it's a website where you put in some text and it will just spit out a percentage of what is the probability that this comes from a human or not. But we are having we have English majors who are already perfect at writing, and they're submitting assignments, and there are high school students or high school teachers or university lecturers who believe that this company who has this website that can tell whether or not it's AI or not, they will put this person's assignment, this already really good English writer's assignment.
That's the thing. It damages the really gifted people.
95% it's from AI. It's damaging the people who worked hard, and people I've read tons of forums already that there are people out there who are already excellent at writing, and they are putting their writing through GPT-0, realizing that that GPT-0 thinks that it's an AI, and they're making it worse
Dumbing
on purpose to not risk any grade, right? And it's a catastrophe, right? That is just an absolute
And teachers are using ChatGPT to grade work.
So it's yeah. So the teachers aren't getting better; they're getting worse. So it's I was actually listening to that podcast you sent me from those two guys who made the AI dilemma and the social dilemma.
I don't know their names. I'll search that up. I'll search that up while you continue.
Yeah, I forget their names, but what they said, and it really makes a lot of sense. And this is I truly do believe this. We have
Azza Raskin and Tristan Harris.
Yeah. So these guys used to work at Facebook, and they were the guys that invented the like button and infinite
scroll. I didn't realize how much of a game changer that was, because everything you use now every social media has infinite scroll. TikTok
Everything.
used it. TikTok probably capitalized on the algorithm the most, but that infinite scroll is such a game changer.
Yeah, it really just like makes it a
seamless experience.
A seamless experience that makes you not want to put it down. It really kind of contributed to the whole addiction for these things. But the big thing about these guys is they, you know, they created these things thinking they were really cool features. Oh, the like button, that's cool, you know, or infinite scroll. Oh, that makes things nicer. But they didn't realize the impact, and they both have you know, quit the companies, and they have banned their children to use social media. That's how much they don't. They understand that it's bad for people, like for their kids, really. And what they were saying about AI was that we've essentially got technology that is like 2 or 3 centuries ahead of us right now, and we are trying to deal with how do we fix our society with technology that is, you know, like so many years ahead. And it's the equivalent of us getting a computer or getting a nuclear bomb or some sort of like modern technology, and then suddenly going to war and with kings back in the in the medieval days 500 years ago, right? They like what can they do? They can, you know, send out the knights, and it's not going to. They had no other option, right?
Yeah.
That was the only tools available to them to try and deal with that, and that's analogous to where we are right now. We have this technology that can do way more than our laws and our social structure can handle, and we're going to go through this tumultuous time right now where everything's going to be fucked because we need to redo how we teach, because now there's this AI and we're going to like readjust everything now, and that's like it's
maybe the problem with AI, because everyone's all I don't stress about AI because I know if I delve into AI, I will get stressed because little things like that do stress me out, and I get obsessive over them. And maybe the problem isn't that AI will kill us. Maybe it's that it'll just dumb us down so much, like that we will be obsolete.
We'll accidentally kill ourselves.
Yeah, we'll accidentally kill ourselves because people will get, as much as people innovate and we get bigger and stronger and faster and stuff as years go on. We will get dumber if we rely on AI to do everything. It'll be like that WALL-E. Have you seen WALL-E?
I've seen WALL-E, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be like WALL-E.
That's exactly where we're headed, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
like Amazon, I've never used Amazon, like really to buy things. Mm-hmm. I've never been heaps of an online shopper.
It's pretty good.
Oh my God.
It's pretty good.
I set up an Amazon account and I bought some stuff for my new cameras. And I didn't even have to put in my details. I just went like this. And it goes, your item is on the way.
Yeah.
And because I'm a Prime member, it's like, it'll be there tomorrow. I'm like, from fucking where? Like, where are you plugging this from? In America, it's same day delivery.
Yeah, same day delivery. It's
insane.
And in some locations in Australia, we do have that as well. Like if you're in Sydney, like they've got big warehouses there for same day.
There's an Amazon warehouse coming here, isn't there?
We already have one here. I think every major city has an Amazon warehouse. That's why all this stuff can come to you so quickly. So they've really just set up warehouses in every city kind of thing. And they're basically, you know, they figured out like statistically what are the things that get bought the most, and they're the things that, you know, that are in every warehouse. And if it's in India, then the things they stock are like, you know,
more tailored.
Like they use statistics to figure out like what are the things that are the most likely bought in India, and then it'll be those items in the warehouses. So like they've really figured out how to optimize everything.
Does AI stress you out?
So AI doesn't stress me out in that way. I'm stressed out thinking big problem to solve. Let's solve it. You know what I mean? And AI would be fine if we were spending 20 years to release this stuff instead of 1 year, right? We as a human race can figure out how to put the locks on this stuff, right? We're smart enough to invent how, like, you know, like the underlying workings of it, right? There are a lot of very, very smart people out there, and all it takes is time. And I see it as this is an emergency where we need to put more resources into it. And it's really even making me think about once I've finished my PhD and maybe what are some of the topics that I'm going to be focusing on in my PhD, and what am I going to focus on after that? And if I start a company afterwards, like what am I going to be focused on? And it's really making me think maybe I should start a company that's focused on figuring out how can we address this big scary problem of AI, and how can we develop it like more safely. I know a couple companies out there are already doing that, but I think the conversation like this is important. I think the fear is important. It's making everyone talk about it, and it's making the people who are in a position to make choices about their career, like I am, it's making us consider, I'm going to make that my entire purpose of my life, of working on AI and figuring out how to fix it. And if we have maybe 10,000 of me around the world, and they're all PhD students right now, and then they go over the next 40 years into their careers focus totally on AI safety and how can we develop this AI safely, then we're going to get to a better place. I think yeah, that's how I feel about that.
Yeah, the only thing that stresses me out is if you think like our lifetime is just such a minuscule, like we think that we're here for a long time. Like 100 years ago, they didn't even have fucking computers. Like your grandparents didn't know what a computer was going to be. They did, like, what is it, 200 years ago or 120 years ago, they didn't even have electricity. And that's just like a click away.
A click, yeah.
Like in the scheme of
it's
things.
Like an exponential explosion.
In 50 years, like the AI has gone this crazy in a year and a half. Imagine in 50. Like what happens then? Like is it in a physical body at that point? Is it like what's happening in 50 years? That's what's scary.
And
because like the aliens, I always think aliens just AI things from like another thing that's figured something out that we haven't. Like it's crazy.
Yeah,
you can go down like massive rabbit holes.
That's the thing with technology and exponentials, because it is an exponential growth, and humans are notoriously bad at predicting exponentials. So like we don't understand how much it's going to improve. 50 years from now, things are going to be completely different, and it's going to be really, really tough. And I think like because the world is going to be advancing so quickly, we're got like to figure out how do we adjust our laws to help adjust for these ever expanding changes in technology, and how do we adjust our systems like schooling and any other like department in the government or the way the world works. How do we adjust it accordingly? And maybe we're looking at a world where there's entire organizations that build AI that is specifically aimed at trying to figure out how to adjust democracy to fit better, or how do we adjust governments.
In
and
50 years,
we're going to have to rely on the AI to help us adjust to the AI.
In 50 years, it won't be us. It probably won't be us making those decisions. It'll be the AI, because it will be hopefully non-biased, and like it's just a crazy thing to think about. But that's the only thing that worries me.
Or like it's the AI that's going to be the one that's developing the plans, and we'll be using the AI to help think of all possible scenarios and help do the predictions for us, and then give that information to the president and to their team, and they can decide on that. Like that's probably a future that we're going to have. Right?
And then you got to think, is our only purpose on this earth just to create better technology, and to eventually we make the thing that just
that necks us?
Because at the end of the day, the only thing humans really do is just make better shit every year.
Yeah,
that's the only thing
we're really good at making better shit.
But that's all we're really here for, to make better shit
and sex,
and it's probably, this has probably all happened before. I reckon we would have gotten to a point where we were pretty advanced before, more advanced than people think.
As in the human race. Yeah,
I think we were definitely advanced at some point. There's heaps of like studies and that ancient Egyptians were way more advanced than people think. Look,
yeah, like it's definitely a possibility.
And then a
the Roman Empire
cataclysmic event happens, and then it's just all gone.
Yeah,
like a fucking meteor hits you, or something happens, and then it's just back to zero again.
And that's why I personally really believe in the Elon Musk mission.
Mars,
or specifically becoming a multiplanetary species, like to keep us, like that's the main thing that's going to keep us alive.
Would you be patient zero?
I wouldn't.
Send at least 4,000 people up there before you get me a fucking rocket ship.
I'm slightly risk averse, but I'd definitely get on a rocket at some point and go to space.
Being the first person though, that would be
first person to step on another planet.
But once you're on there, you're never getting off.
Well, right now with that current technology.
Yeah. Or
in your lifetime.
How long are they planning to? Have they said how long they're planning this trip to take?
Well, how long does it take to get there? It takes about 6 months to get there.
Is that it? Or is that it? That's a long time. I thought it would take longer than that.
The orbits of Earth and Mars aren't like always the same, and there's like periods in the year where the trip between like from Earth to Mars happens in 6 months, and that's like around like the fastest I believe. I would have to double check that, but I think it's around that. It's 6 to 8 months, but so that's like the trip. But then in terms of staying there, like I think initially it's going to be robots. Like we'll send a bunch of robots there. Like we've already got rovers there on Mars anyway at the moment. But I think probably what's going to have to happen is
send a chat GPT.
You send a chat GPT
inside a body.
Inside a body. Probably, man. Like that. Yeah. Like we need some sort of like robot that can do stuff that can not die from the atmosphere initially, right? We're going to have to start digging up resources. We're going to have to start like setting up systems that we can extract oxygen from the environment. So like there's caves where there's like frozen ice and water, so we're going to need to like figure out where they are, and like it's a massive problem to solve, right? It's huge to figure out how do we set up like a permanent colony on Mars, considering we can't breathe the atmosphere. And it's like always freezing temperatures, and it's never.
They have to introduce some sort of water into it so they can get some sort of atmosphere.
Yeah,
I don't know what I'm talking about. By the way,
the atmosphere is tough because they don't like in Earth we have like lava that spins around in the very center of us, and there's like some molten metals in there. I'm not a geologist, so I don't know the exact thing that's happening, but basically because there's this like molten core that's created this magnetic field around the Earth. So when they call it solar wind, and basically just a lot of shit coming from the sun. I'm not this is my field. I just barely know it, but basically there's this stuff called solar wind, and because we have a magnetic field that actually like bounces the solar wind away from us, and but Mars doesn't have a molten core. I'm pretty sure they believe or they know it's not a molten core, and there's no magnetic field around Mars. So
shit just zings by.
So all that they used to have an atmosphere, but the solar wind has stripped it away from Mars. So even if we figure out how to terraform Mars, that's what they call it, change the planet. It's called terraforming the planet. Even if we decide to terraform Mars and change the atmosphere, the solar wind's gonna fuck it anyway, right? So like there's like hypothesis and like maybe what we can do is this is like assuming humans get to this point, maybe we can build a mega structure like a screen in front of Mars between the sun and Mars that can like bounce away things for us. And like there's all these crazy ideas of like how to solve that problem, assuming we can build it, like what could be built that could fix that problem. But yeah, so that's thousands of years in the future. We're talking about like 10k years in the future to type
which
situation.
Still isn't much.
Which isn't. It's a blink in the eye. It's a blink in time, right? But really, I think the product, like it's going to be caves and it's going to be domes, is what the initial situation is going to be on Mars, and we're going to have to get there. We're going to have to figure out some way to extract water from. Basically, we need water and air, and we're not going to be able to survive. Well, initially, it's all going to come from Earth, so we're going to have like tanks. That's going to be like it's going to be like many rockets delivering Earth water and air to a location for like I don't know 10-20 times, and then the human will go knowing they've got enough water and air. It's going to be like a long time of setting it up, but we have to start somewhere. If we remain on Earth, we've seen the history of all humans.
Can't they replicate the conditions in like some sort of environment on Earth?
Yeah, so like a dome.
Yeah,
a dome. Yeah, so that's the idea. Like either a cave where they just hollow out fucking underneath, and that helps like protect against. There's like giant sandstorms on Mars, so that would help protect against any crap in the atmosphere that's going to like kill you. So going underground it would be a good solution, but that would take a lot of effort. You need like diggers and shit to build down. So it's gonna be domes initially. So it's big solid domes that might have some like thick glass so you can get some sunlight in. But
it'd be interesting to say people go to Mars and say it's a successful mission, and it ends up getting a population of say like 4,000 to 5,000 people. It'd be weird to see what kind of genetic mutations they get in 100 years or 1,000 years or 10,000 years, because they won't look the same as us anymore.
It's like 1/3 of the gravity. 1/3.
Yeah, like that. How will their body change and morph to make that optimal for that kind of like landscape? That would be if they would look like aliens,
like a million years in the future.
They would look like aliens, which is a spin out. Because what if, just throwing shit at a wall, like imagine if this all happened 2 million years ago and we did make it to another planet and they're just the people that got fucking left there.
What if there's already colonies on Mars?
Yeah.
That's definitely a possibility. Yeah, like it's like
because they would have to adapt to their, like, I don't know, what is Mars denser?
It's the physical size of the planet is smaller, and
like if you jump in Mars, is it harder to jump or do you float a bit?
Way higher. So all the video footage of people jumping on the moon, went really, really high and fell down. That's because the moon is six times less gravity. So basically you fall 6 times slower. Mars is 3 times slower.
All right.
So it's still much slower than Earth, right? And what it's going to mean is they're going to, let's say we have a colony on Mars and it's gone well, and where they get their own resources and they're fine and they can grow their own food, yada yada yada. So assuming that's the future we're looking at, because people on Earth are much stronger because we're fighting against way more gravity. What's going to happen, I think, is there will always be people from Earth that are able to come to Mars. But if people are born in Mars and their body has evolved to adjust to that new gravity, they are going to not be able to come back to Earth.
The pressure will destroy their bones.
It might be too much for them.
So they'd be like maybe smaller, skinnier, frailer.
No, I think it's taller.
Taller.
Because the gravity isn't pushing down on them as much. Yeah. There's less gravity, and they're because what we find is astronauts that go to space where there's zero gravity. So at least on Mars there's some gravity. There's like 3 times, a third of Earth's. In the space station there's no gravity, and those astronauts come back a few inches taller or something because their spines have stretched out because there's no gravity squeezing their spines down.
Be good for you.
Not good at all.
That can't be good for you at all.
And that's also a big problem. And they're there for 4 months or 6 months, and it's already a problem. And the commute from Earth to Mars is 6 months, right? So people are going to go there already in a damaged state from being in no gravity for 6 months. So people are thinking about, all right, maybe we have a big spinning dome that has centrifugal gravity. So you have a bit of gravity when you go there, and
if you if going to the space station, I guess going to the space station is pretty streamlined at this point. But if it was 100% fail proof, how much you paying to go to the space station? If it was just a domestic flight, like an international flight.
Mate. Well, right now I'm a poor student, so but if I've got the funds, I'd pay it to go. Absolutely. 10K? It was 10.
Return.
Absolutely 10K. The 10. Bargain. Yeah. I'm thinking it's going to be more like 100 to fucking $500,000.
Nah, surely eventually they'll get it down to 10,000 a ticket to go to space.
I think for it to be 10,000, that's very cheap.
Is it? I guess the fuel would probably.
The fuel is so expensive.
But what if you can run how many people can you fit on one of these things? If they make it,
how many people are fitting in? Well, on the new Starship, I should look that up. Maybe it's 10 people in the cockpit. I'm not sure. But that isn't many people, right? For
it's giant, not enough money.
You're gonna need 100 to 500. A lot of money. Yeah. I'm thinking 100K. It's probably gonna cost.
100K is probably reasonable.
Yeah,
10 people,
right
$1
now,
million.
For us to make it, for us to be a true spacefaring civilization, there is one big hurdle that we need, and we need to be able to escape from our gravity as well. basically that's get up to like space station height away from the Earth. We're going to need to get there without spending so much fuel, because like most of the fuel is actually spent in the bottom part of the Earth, because
when it's thrusting up.
Because like the gravity is stronger and stronger the closer you are to the Earth, and as you get further and further away, the pull from the Earth gets lesser and less and less. So that, like, you know, once they're like halfway up, it takes less fuel for them to go, right? So if we could like start already away from the Earth, then we're gonna like it's gonna be way easier. So a big idea that's gonna be some point in the future would be a space elevator, where you have this giant cable and then it carts you up to this
point, and then you go.
Exactly. There'd be some like station that's above the Earth. Exactly right.
That
yeah.
That noise. So when I imagine it's extremely loud when you're taking off inside there. But that noise when you reach space and everything just cuts off would be so eerie.
Yeah, it would be.
It would be, and then
but also relief because you're not dead.
Yeah, that would be such a terrible death.
Yeah, it's, you know, I think was like the first person ever to try to go to space, he died. Like there's some people that, like, you know, the cockpit blew up in fire and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty risky. You're strapping yourself to a big bomb, really.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild time in like 1,000 years.
Yeah. Oh, assuming we.
Well, it's going to be a wild fucking year this year. That thing you sent me yesterday, the AI dilemma. And I'll chuck it up. That freaked me out a little bit, because that's mind reading.
That thing that I showed you. Maybe you can pull up the. Like a still frame of the clip, and I'll just talk over it. Yeah. Basically, so what it is researchers have taken is it like MRI scans, like some sort of scan of the brain where they can watch the blood that's flowing through the brain, and what they're doing is they're recording what that looks like. So I think it's like
19.
Go forward a little bit. Keep going there. And okay, so what they're doing is they're recording what the image looks like of the human who's looking at a picture of a giraffe, and they are getting an AI model to take in that scan of the human brain, and it's getting it to learn to predict what image the human is looking at. And if you skip forward, after they've trained it, here's an example of what they ended up doing. They ended up successfully getting the AI. So take away the image, and the AI only looks at the human brain, and it's able to reconstruct a picture of a giraffe, and it's only seen the human brain, and then similarly,
but even the background,
the
greenery,
the blue sky,
shrub, the blue sky,
because that information's all there in their brain, right? It's all there, and it's and there's a few things like that are similar. So they've also got the AI to reconstruct sentences you're forming in your head, and they have gotten humans to sing songs in their head, and like singing like Seven Nation Army, dun 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 dun, dun, and then it reconstructs Seven Nation Army, and it's
oh shit, what did I do there? Oh, because I accidentally pressed this.
No, all good. That's it. Goes to show, like, you know, as long as there are patterns and there is data, AI can figure out anything from that data, you know, beyond what humans can comprehend, because they go, you know, once the AI, like once you've given it a bunch of examples, they see images like this human brain. It's just another language, right? And and
it can do it with video as well.
I believe so. This was 2 years ago, so by now definitely they could do it with video.
That's insane.
Yeah, by now
it's that. And you said something about, was it you that said something about they can implement this with dreams?
Well, that's that's the idea.
That's some Inception shit.
I think they might have mentioned that in this YouTube video.
Yeah.
Everyone should definitely go and watch this, by the way.
It's called The AIs. I haven't seen it. I'm going to watch it after this.
Yeah.
But I just skimmed through it when you sent it to me last night.
It's one of the most important YouTube videos we can watch right now as a civilization is the AI dilemma.
It's the same creator as The Social Dilemma?
The Social Dilemma.
Same people.
Same guys. Yeah. And basically, we're able to put like what are those brain scanners where they like put little pads on your head, and they can put that and they can reconstruct things. So if you're sleeping, they can just put that on you and see what are you looking at in your dreams. Right? It's pretty
That's fucking weird.
It's pretty crazy, but pretty awesome at the same time. Like imagine like. In the future, you can go and purchase this thing, and you can put it on your head, and you can, if you're, let's say you forget your dreams and you want to like see what they were like, or you had a crazy dream and you can't remember all the details, so then you're like, here, let's watch the video together, and you can, go and show your mate. Like,
see, as scary as that is, it's also like a brilliant tool for, say, psychiatrists in the future. Trauma therapy. What the fuck, like. Delving into memories that you've just thrown away and just things like that. Mm-hmm. That has a good implication to it.
Absolutely.
But it could also be used for like ridiculous like shit. Like Facebook could use it to get more into your algorithm.
Prisoners trying to extract information from there.
That's another thing. Like
that's what's going to happen.
And it'll mostly probably be like captured soldiers, or like just like the justice system will probably use it.
Yeah.
But I imagine it'll be used for some sort of algorithmic gain as well for social medias.
Exactly. Yeah. They can they can lock you in this thing, and your brain will talk by itself at night. You know what I mean? Or they can you can ask them questions, and there's going to be a whole science related to like how do you ask someone a question, not so that they're going to respond and tell you the answer. But how do you ask a question to someone such that their brain will think of the answer? And the way to protect yourself from this, there'll be whole training schools of people. If you're like if you're a spy, for example, and you're going to Russia and you're working for the CIA, like there's probably going to be whole training regimes in the future of people learning how to learn to be immune to this type of thing where people asking you questions and you learn to not think about right. So it's not about not saying it, you learning to not like it's a crazy world.
Yeah, that's probably not even the most that's probably not even the craziest thing, because like you said, that was 2 years ago.
That was 2 years ago, yeah, and it's going to take a little bit for that to start to go crazy, but like it took 6 years from the inception of the transformer to eventually GPT getting it. It takes a little bit of time for a company to grab it and then really throw some money at it, but it's coming at some point. Yeah.
If anyone hasn't, a lot of people wouldn't have seen it, but that episode on Joe Rogan with Azza Raskin and Tristan Harris, those two dudes, I don't know if it's them directly or if they're just helping with the project, or if one of them's doing the project, where they're trying to translate animal speech.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Because, and like especially with dolphins, they figured out with dolphins that when they communicate, say a dolphin learns a trick, they can communicate in a way where the dolphin it's communicating with will learn the trick just by its communication.
Yeah.
They won't have to practice it. It's almost like group learning.
Yeah.
It's like they're and whales, dolphins and whales. I don't know if it's specifically a specific whale, if it's like an orca maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, there's like a closer
it might be orcas have like extremely complex language that's way more complex than ours, because they can learn from just speaking. But physically learn just from speaking, and they've noticed. I'm totally butchering this, so just go watch the episode. But they've noticed patterns in their calls and their speech. They've noticed like language patterns that they're trying to decipher now, which is fucking crazy.
It is crazy, and it's if we can scan a brain and reconstruct an image of a giraffe, we can definitely
do that with an animal.
That's just a no-brainer, right? Like, imagine being able to chat to your dog.
Oh my god, that would be such a game changer.
Like, that'll be crazy, right? It's
if you could put a little helmet on your dog, and you had like it could speak to you.
What I think this is the beginning, right? It's obvious to us that whales and dolphins can speak because we can like feel and hear their squeaks, right?
You can see the emotion in them as well.
You can see the emotion. But what's going to be crazy though is there are tons of other animals and insects that communicate. Bees have like this send out chemicals, right? Imagine if we can read the chemicals and understand what message they're sending out now, and we can like translate them. Or
ants.
Or even crazier, there are some plants that that could communicate with signals and pulses. I know that the flycatcher plant it uses like an electrical signal to know whether or not a fly has landed that will trigger. And like maybe there's some sort of communication with plants that are happening through, just like avatar style, like
there is
chatting through the roots of the trees kind of thing.
A lot of, I don't know which type of plant or if it's all plants, but certain plants will change their flavor profile if they're getting eaten.
Yeah.
Like if the plant's getting eaten by an animal, that plant will send like a little signal to all the other plants, and they'll change their flavor profile so it's not as appetizing to the animal that's eating them all.
I didn't know that at all. That's crazy. Like plants are crazy.
Plants and fungi have like a really
fungi.
they have a crazy like just system of how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not sentient, but like
there's definitely some sort of like communication
between them.
And it's like it could be electrical pulses. Like we're not. I say I'm not sure, but I'm sure that the experts understand the general principles of what's happening there. But
yeah,
if this is where we are with communication, getting AI to learn to translate and learn what the communication is with dolphins and with whales, then the future. Like I'm trying to project of like what's a crazy thing that I can't imagine right now. It could be we could learn to understand what is being communicated with ant colonies, or learn to actually get like a translation into English, like what is a fungus's signals it's sending out, or what is that plant, like what, like some sort of translation, like we could use AI to figure out and learn to not learn to communicate with the fungi, but have it as like a one-way communication where we can understand what they're saying. Like
once monkeys start talking and shit, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, well,
monkeys would definitely have some sort of sophisticated language.
Orangutans, very very smart. Yeah, they're all like they can do a lot of crazy stuff. They already communicate, and tons of orangutans and chimps have already been learned to
use tools,
use sign language. They can communicate with us with sign language. Right. So like they can do it, but I guess because they've never really developed through evolution the complex sounds you can make with your mouth, and maybe it's quite straining for them to try and do that, and like the part of the brain that would control the different sounds, maybe that isn't developed enough. So like we haven't gotten them to like speak anything yet. But yeah, who knows? Who knows? Yeah.
When you head over to Oxford, what is the main thing you will be studying? Do you have like a set topic or a couple topics you will be studying heavily over there, or are you kind of going there to figure out what you want to study?
Well, the study that I'm currently doing with my masters at the moment is I picked that, and the professor I'm going to go with, he was the guy that started this field that I'm already working on. So I could go there and try and say, hey, I want to work on something new.
Yeah.
However, I really want to impress him and do good work off the bat straight away. So I think I'm going to kind of continue what I'm already working on, just so he knows that I can get stuff done straight away. I don't want to spend 3 months trying to figure out a new topic and then only have 3 months after that to actually work on it. So the area of research is similar to what I'm already doing, and I'll recap that. That's so yeah, like multi-agent reinforcement learning, emergent communication. How do you get AI to communicate together when they're trying to collaborate together? So no adversarial enemies here. Just how this is like I think it's an important problem to solve. If we're all quite worried about AI doing things against us or hurting humans in some way. And I think an important area that is kind of opposite to that is, well, why don't we just focus on, let's just make really good AI that are excellent at cooperating with us. And so that's his whole shindig. He just loves that area. And so I'll be probably going with him, and like I'm already working on this card game Hanabi, which is a
I remember from the last podcast.
From the last one, yeah, it's a cooperative card game where you work together, and he's already working on that. So probably what I'm going to go and say to him is say, hey, I'll keep doing Hanabi, but I probably want to have a conversation with him and see if he has any cool ideas that he's always wanted to do, and I'll be his man that can do it, really, because I'm sure he's got tons of ideas that he wants to try. And so I think that's something that I lacked with my masters, is I didn't have a supervisor who
what's the name of this man?
Sorry,
what's his name
in Oxford?
Yes,
Jakob Forster. So yeah, he's from Germany.
Germany.
Yeah, when I first spoke to him, I was pretty nervous. He's very like straight to the point, and
most brilliant people are.
Yeah, he's very straight to the point, and I was sweating a bit when I first started speaking to him. But he's a really nice guy and very enthusiastic about the work. And I think working with someone who like is so crazy enthusiastic about this problem, I think like that's the energy I just want to just grab and bathe myself in. So I don't know. I'm unsure what I'm going to be stepping into. Like I'm sure all of his PhD students are all going to be working on some ridiculously crazy things. So one thing I want to do when I go there is have coffees with every single one of his students and just like pick their brains. And, like what other opportunities? Like when else do you have that opportunity to to do that, right? Yeah. So that's what I'm excited to do. Just pick everyone's brain and just do like social research to find out what everyone's doing. And yeah,
it's going to be a big year for AI, I reckon.
Yeah.
Or just tech in general. Have you seen the Apple VR?
I have seen some clips on it. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That's what I was going to say. I don't know. I don't really care about it too much, but. Yeah. I just found the eye tracking so fascinating, because when Apple do something, they wait for like their first generation of anything's always the worst, so it's only going to get better. Yeah. But apparently, like you look at anything and
it just a tiny dot,
and it just fucking just perfectly knows where you're looking.
Yeah, just so people listening understand, basically what they have is they have this headset.
It's an AR or VR?
It's a bit of both. It's VR, but it's AR in the sense that they can get images and they play it back on the screen in front of you. Yeah. So it feels like AR. And basically what they've got is they've got like heaps of little cameras around the outside of the rim, and they've also got cameras inside of the headset that are looking and tracking
that eye thing looks so eyeballs. Weird. Have you seen
Oh yeah, there's like eyes on the front. Yeah, it looks very weird. I'm not a fan of the eyes on the front. But basically it tracks your eyeballs, so then if you want to interface with this headset, and if you're walking around the city, I don't know what they're planning for this shit, but like if you're walking around and you want to Google what is that thing, you're walking around and there's this cartridge here, and you look at it and it will see where you're looking, and then it's also got cameras on the outside, and all you need to do is just do that with your finger, and then it sees that you've done that, and then it will click on that, and then it will like Google it or whatever you want to do, whatever the programmers will want to do with that thing, but it will click on it, and then it uses AI to know and outline it and know that what is this thing. So that's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy.
AR to me is so much more interesting than VR, because it's more practical. Like VR's dope, and I'm sure in 3 or 4 years VR is going to be almost indistinguishable maybe in the next, I wouldn't say that close, maybe in the next decade or so. VR might be indistinguishable to real life, but AR has so many practical implements. Like if they had glasses like just a normal pair of glasses that you could put on, these aren't normal, but if you had just like a pair of glasses you could put on and it was a perfect interface,
like some regular sunnies or something,
just regular sunnies, and it had maps on there, it had your phone, it had haptics, because one thing I find is with VR and stuff, there's no haptics yet really that are good enough.
But that's why like Apple had done this thing of instead of having a haptics, they just like track and you see that you've done that, right? You just tap your finger, right? And that's such a simple thing.
That's a haptic.
That right there. So it's not a haptic in the fact that usually,
but it's a sense of touching something.
It's a controller. It's a controller interface, so you can control what's happening within the software, right? Yeah. But and like people have attempted the whole glasses thing. But I think because the technology hasn't been there, like, do you remember Google Glass? And I remember Sergey Brin, one of the founders of Google, he was the guy that was always wearing them, and he would wear them around the office. But they just didn't take off, right? Because, people are pretty... people care a lot about their looks, and...
if they look stupid.
They look ridiculous, right? You look like an idiot. And I think, it's never going to be widely worn until it like looks exactly like a pair of glasses. And unless if it doesn't look exactly like a pair of glasses, I don't see it ever taking off in terms of in the general public like that, because people, don't want to young dudes don't want to ruin their chances to pick up some girls because they're wearing something stupid, right?
Do you use Apple or PC?
For my computer, I'm using a MacBook. Yeah, an Apple. Yeah.
So, with the the Apple VR, that looks like it's actually pretty handy if you're sitting at home and want multiple workstations.
Definitely.
So, that for you would probably be heaps beneficial, because you wouldn't need to carry around 7 fucking monitors with you everywhere.
And that is something that I would definitely consider it for. Like,
because I was looking at I was looking at the workspace. I don't know. Obviously, it's not going to be heaps powerful, but I don't know if you can plug it into some sort of GPU and make it more powerful. But like having the screens readily available to you, where you can just continuously work, that seems.
And for those listening,
cool.
it was basically you wear these glasses, and it will put a floating screen in front of your vision, so you'll see the world as it is. But there will just be a floating screen in front of you, and you can do anything you want with that. You can resize it. You can pull your hands out and like pull it towards you. You can do anything you want with the screen.
Make it like tabs, different tabs.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want with that. And I think something like that would be really, really useful. Or I think even when I'm going to a cafe, I want to work from a cafe, right? Assuming it gets to a point that it doesn't look stupid, and I'm happy to.
It just needs to not be as bulky.
It's bulky, yeah.
And it's just something more people need to buy it, obviously, so you don't just look like a weirdo.
Yeah, and I think like people not being able to see my eyes, that's the weird thing. Like if I'm just it looks like I'm sitting in this world and they can't interact with me. From their point of view, I'm in my own world. From my point of view, it looks like I'm in the real world because I can see everything. But I think that's the thing that's going to make it a bit tough for people to want to go out and sit out in a cafe with these glasses on. But you can imagine though, you're having a coffee and you pull your lappy out, or maybe you don't even pull it out, or no, you would still need a keyboard, but just screens in front of you and you can just work and
see. Keyboard's a big one for haptics as well. You need that click.
You need the click,
or else it would be too awkward.
Because touch typing relies on
a cafe just doing that to the table, you're going to fucking piss everyone off.
I think also that, but also like I don't think touch typing will work without the haptics, because to touch type you need to like align your fingers with the home row. There's like little bumps to know where you are.
Haptics is an easy one to figure out though. They can just make some sort of Fitbit technology where it's like as thin as a Fitbit and it sends like little
something like that,
little things down your fingers.
There's possibilities for that. Yeah, I'm keen to go to a conference or an expo at some point and try the Apple headset and see actually what it's like, because like I remember.
Is it this year it's coming out?
Maybe this year. I'm not sure.
It's not out yet.
I've only seen
Apple do introduce things into the masses though. Like once Apple
Yeah.
makes a product, that's when it starts.
They're gonna go
because
hard.
obviously PS5 VR is pretty niche in the scheme of things. Oculus is still very niche in the massive scale.
Yeah.
But once Apple makes something, that's when it gets introduced to the masses, and that's when people see dollar signs and like, okay, let's perfect this now.
Yeah, they're probably going to have to figure out some legitimate marketing tool that's going to actually get it out there, and they'll figure out something because they're the best at that. And
They have to find a necessary application for it.
exactly, and I think they will. Like,
And I think workflow for offices and stuff, that will be one of the biggest applications for it, because it'll save so many monitors and clutter. It's just like, instead of having 4 monitors, 7 keyboards and 10 desks, you just have a little desk and you have access to, you can have, instead of having 4 people in an office, you can have 20 in the same office space now.
doing
double the work.
It can get smaller. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think if Steve Jobs was still alive and the company behind the scenes was working on this VR AR headset thing, like I don't know, maybe I'm just like romanticizing the brilliance of Jobs.
iPhones, since Steve's passed away, I don't know, they just seem a bit uninspired. Like, I'm paying for the same phone, just a different phone.
There haven't been
every
anything
year.
really new, and he really pushed for things that didn't exist, because he was a bit of a tyrant when he was working there, and he really kind of like cracked the whip on everybody. But he would push impossible things out of that team, and I think like if Jobs was still around and they were doing this, he would like, I don't know. I'm probably romanticizing how great he was, but I like to imagine that if he was still around, he would figure out what the application is.
Is he one of your like Mount Rushmore tech gurus?
When it comes to starting a company and just having just the innate, like, your brain is just built to know how to figure out a product that everyone wants. I find that so inspiring.
There was a big romanticism about Steve Jobs though, because he used to like take acid, and like he wasn't just like he was a very brilliant mind. He was a troubled, brilliant mind.
Like, maybe that's where he got all these good ideas from.
But that's probably that, like, on it, like
probably like.
But he was also a bit human as well. But he was a hard ass, wasn't he?
He was. He was very, very harsh on his workforce. He would like, work them to the bone to get things out.
Unfortunately, the best things come out of like cramming culture. Like the best games, the best video game developers,
Pyramids.
all have
Pyramids.
The pyramids. Yeah. I don't know how the fuck they got those rocks to the pyramids, but
human muscle, lots of deaths.
But they had to travel over like a massive sea to get when
you slave in a whole population, you can do a lot, I feel.
And they cut the rocks like so it's insane. Apparently, I've never been. Have you been to Egypt?
I haven't been to Egypt, and my mum just went a few years ago. I'm quite keen to go. Yeah,
it just sketches me out over there a bit. Apparently, the government's pretty wild.
Also, the war happening like next door to them now. So it's a bit sus at the moment.
I wonder what they can do. What implications like AI and technology will have on future things like war. Because that's another scary one.
Drones, it's already kind of being affected, right? Like,
well, you don't even need to be in the same country to bomb like someone now.
Yeah, like that's been like Ukraine's primary tool, right? Has been using drones. So like that's already AI, or it's just making it so you can kill without being killed and AI is gonna, it's always gonna find its way into war. Like,
it's more scary. The war's terrifying, but it's also terrifying to think we'll get to a point where you can just cut off someone's internet and electricity supply.
When losing electricity and internet is more scary. It's the scariest thing.
If a bomb went off in, say, Sydney Harbour Bridge got attacked, it would be fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
If someone pressed a button and the whole of Australia lost all of its grid, that would be worse.
Yeah, that would be
more people would die from that.
Well, also, especially if it was in the middle of like a heat wave or something.
Just more people would just die from that. Just people, you saw what happened during COVID when people couldn't get toilet paper. They were getting into physical altercations over toilet paper. Imagine if there's no food.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if there's not enough food.
Yeah, like how are we gonna...
We don't have enough food to last the whole population more than a fucking month.
Well, I think like, add some fuel to the fire, maybe remove the fuel, and like there's no electricity or petrol, right?
Well, if there's no electricity, there's no petrol, there's no transportation for trucks to, like, there will be nothing.
Yeah. Especially a lot of the cars rely on electricity, or some of them are fully electric now, so obviously they're dead.
Well, all the navigation systems are down. There's no
GPS.
No GPS.
There'll be some old school cars that are like purely, petrol. Like they're going to be the kings of the world for a while. Like if the electricity apocalypse happens, yeah.
Which that's the scariest one, because like a solar flare could just, like, we're not.
Yeah.
People think that we just float around forever here. Like, shit happens on Earth.
Yeah.
We just haven't experienced
because we haven't been around for very long.
Years that we've been here.
We haven't been around for very long. Exactly right.
I don't know when the last cataclysmic event was, but like,
I think it was the as far as I am aware, did the Ice Age happen after? Maybe it was the Ice Age, because
I'd say the Ice Age happened after the media hit.
Definitely, yeah, that was way because there were humans there, right? That was like early humans back in those days. But I think either like a solar flare, or like apparently we're coming up to the dew point where we're going to be flipping our polar axis as well. Like, do you know about that?
No.
So so the Earth spins, but it's been like every X years, or every like million years or 100,000 years. I'm not sure how often it happens, but the whole Earth will flip, and the north becomes the south and the south becomes the north. And
so the seasons change almost.
The seasons change, and and what was the South Pole is like in the middle of some summer region now, and it's like the whole world is going to change.
Is that why?
Yeah, like that.
Is that why Australia's weather's is probably not the same thing? That's probably more due to like climate change or whatever's going on.
Yeah, that's probably...
Australian weather. We need to figure out what the seasons are now, because we haven't even had summer yet.
Yeah, well,
and it's January.
I think all countries are going through craziness at the moment. Like, I know right now in the UK, I've been looking up what's the weather like at the moment, and they've never experienced this much rain in their life. And they're already a very wet place, and like it's just been like raining nearly every day there, right?
And was it last year they had like a week where they were hitting 33 degrees? They had a massive heat wave last year.
They went from like the most deaths because of heat waves, because their country
they don't have infrastructure for 30 plus degrees.
They've got like all their walls are like double brick veneer, so everything is an oven, and they don't have air cons in every room, because they don't need it as much, right? Whereas Australia, everything's thin enough that we can survive, and we're built for heat, so yeah, like everywhere is pretty crazy right now, and global warming, it's a thing.
It is a thing.
It is a thing.
And they're saying they're going to use like, if you can implicate things like AI to solve those kind of problems, that's where it becomes beneficial.
Definitely, yeah. And I actually spoke to. I had a Zoom call with a girl from Melbourne who was working for the Bureau of Meteorology in Melbourne. She's heading over to Oxford now for a PhD, and she's working on AI to address these problems. So yeah, when I'm over there, I'm keen to catch up with her and find out, like, and pick her brain about what can we actually do with AI to help this problem.
I prefer to be oblivious to those kind of things. It stresses me out too much, because I remember when I was a kid, because every fucking like 10 years or like every year there was going to be like an end of the world kind of event, and they would stress me out too much until I realised a lot of them were bullshit.
A lot of them like religious bullshit.
No, or even like there's a meteorite heading on its way to Earth, and I'd fucking always be like, it stressed me out too much.
Yeah.
Because it can just all go like that. It'll just all go, and like no one will know.
That's why we need to get to Mars, man.
Yeah.
It's our only chance, because even if we do everything perfectly, let's say hypothetically we fix global warming, we fix our shit, even we fix the whole AI stuff, right, and we're back to good, and we're all safe. Even then, meteorite could come,
bang,
or solar flare or something could happen.
Solar flare is a big one because that's.
But that may not kill us necessarily. It will just like fuck our entire world. People will survive that. But like, one big meteorite, if it's big enough, will do a lot of damage, and it might not kill all the humans, but it will definitely like take us back to the Stone Age for sure. Like but then again, like we're trying to do things like, I'm not sure if you know about in some of the Nordic countries, they have seed vaults. So like every single plant.
In Switzerland, they have a massive one.
In Switzerland, and I think as well there's another vault for all the world's information as well. They're basically storing as much of like all of Wikipedia or everything that's important. Like maybe not every like cat video, they're not storing them, but like everything that's important, that if humans, if all humans died and we needed all information
again,
again,
literature just to go off.
So yeah, there's like a whole vault happening and stuff. So like we're not necessarily going to go back to the Stone Age, if those things survive, because they're like deep underground.
It's just going to take a long time to get it back to where it was.
Yeah, but at least it won't be
a starting point.
At least it won't be like 10,000 years. It might be 500 years instead of 10,000 years, which might be okay. But I guess, but something bigger could happen that could wipe us out for sure.
I'd love to go like 1 week without, if like a grid went down for like a week a year, like every year they just turn it off just for a week.
Just for a week.
Just to remind us. Just the internet. It'd probably be really good for people.
Probably, yeah.
If they just did it for a week, but too many people would fucking lose a lot of money. That's the thing. It's just too much money.
Our economy is dependent on it, and especially like now the like the biggest earners in the world are
tech companies.
Like some of the biggest earners are like tech companies, right? And
used to be oil rich, now it's tech rich.
Like oil is looking at a decline, but tech is looking at the opposite. As oil gets worse and everything becomes electric cars, that's tech. You know what I mean?
See, but those electric cars, they're not better for the environment.
Yeah, there's
the mining for the resources you need to make the batteries are horrendous.
Yeah, well, I think it's not necessarily the fact that it's the electric car. It's more like I think the way we currently source the resources has a lot of problems that are still fucking up the environment. But I think I see it as like a necessary stepping stone, making people
a necessary evil to get to a point where it's better.
It's a necessary evil in some sense, but we may figure out better batteries in the future that doesn't need that sort of mining, but we need to have some sort of stepping stone to get to that point, and we just needed to get off burning oil for now, because we know for certain that's fucking up the atmosphere.
If Teslas weren't so expensive, I'd have one.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
If those Cybertrucks, I love the look of them.
So crazy.
They look like
they're like $100,000 or something or more. Like
I think the base model's like $85,000 to $90,000.
Is that US or AUD?
I think Australia, maybe Australian, it'd probably be 100, 110 for a base model.
For a base model, yeah.
Like the one that goes insanely fast and stuff is like probably 150 to 180,000.
Even up to 200k, yeah.
But they look so. That's like, that's a future car.
Yeah,
like just the shape of it.
That's why everyone wants one. My mate is on the waiting list for it.
Oh really?
Yeah. I was like, you're that rich? Fucking hell.
He can only make X amount a year. That's the problem of why they're so expensive, because the actual production of them isn't streamlined perfectly yet.
Because they're like building a tank, and they're like, tanks. You can't build a tank in a day, right?
The window's bulletproof.
Yeah.
The doors are bulletproof. It's all bulletproof.
Yeah, it's crazy. Even though there was that clip where they fucked up and where
Elon put a rock through it by accident.
I was listening to why that happened. Like there was a later
like
interview.
A stress fracture or a hairline fracture in it.
Before he hit the window, they actually hit the door and with a different hammer or something, and that most likely put a little crack in the bottom corner. So then when he went and hit it, there was already a fracture there, and it just looked hell bad.
He was on Joe Rogan a couple months ago or a month ago.
Yeah,
and Joe Rogan shot it with a bow.
and nothing.
Did nothing.
Yeah. I've seen people shoot it with a gun and it's fine as well. Yeah, like, or I've seen people shoot it with a gun and it's like it has a little dent in it. Yeah, it definitely is bulletproof, right? Yeah, that'd be pretty crazy to have that car. Yeah,
It'd be good.
but I think it's there's gonna be problems like going from a petrol dominated world like we have with cars everywhere. You know, if we want to eventually have, you know, no oils burnt in the atmosphere, like, you know, it's gonna have to be electric, you know, and ultimately, like, the way forward eventually is, you know, we need to figure out some technology that we can use abundant resources around us to make better batteries. That could happen in the next, like, you know, 50, 100, 300 years, right? We could eventually just grab everyday stuff that maybe we can grow some plants and then we can grab some material out of that plant and use that, or even you know, we're chemically engineering new plants. Like, maybe we can, like, build plants that produce some resource we need. Like, who fucking knows, right? So, like, yes, right now the way we're sourcing all the batteries and crap, like, it's there's definitely problems there, but it's the right future to aim for, I think, you know, because eventually the power we can get from the sun, right? And once we've got solar panels, because, like, imagine just every desert in the world is just like one big solar panel, right? You know, the whole world's going to be fine.
Central Australia would be perfect for that.
We'd be, you know, exporting so much money, right? Like, we can just export that power, right? And
it's the electric cars are a tough one in Australia though, because, like, in Europe and, say, like, major cities in America, everything's, like, pretty condensed.
Yeah.
Whereas in Australia, we're so fucking spread out. You need long range everywhere you go. So that's the only tricky part at the moment. I'm sure it'll be a lot better in, like, 50 years.
Yeah, and also they haven't focused us either, right? They haven't focused.
Yeah, we're not the market. We're too small.
20 million people here. I think. Yeah, they're focusing on all the countries that have billions of people, right? So China, India, Europe, and America is where, right, you know,
shitload of electric cars in Japan when I went.
Yeah, and there's a country that's already, like, net negative. Like, do you know what net negative
like
is?
In a car, like
their entire country's fossil like emissions is like
negative.
Is negative. So they're what does it mean to be negative here? Maybe, like, they're exporting. I think they might be, like, exporting, like, renewable energy and all the car, like there's some is it Denmark maybe? I forget the name. I always just mix all the Nordic countries up. I hear one of them does something good and then I'm like, oh, which one was it? But there's one of them that is heavily subsidizing all electric car purchases, and they're like and they're charging you extra if you go and get a petrol car. Or there's, like, heaps of benefits that you can get for getting, like electric cars. So there's countries out there that are really pushing it, and we'll get there. I think Australia, you know, we're just a bit controlled by our oil companies and mining companies for now. So
we usually
give us some
catch
time
on to translate here.
Yeah, we're a bit slow, you know, down under, mate. You know,
down under, most docile country in the world.
We'll get there eventually. Oh, there was a, you know, electric cars happening. Oh, we better get to that. You know, like,
yeah, it's insane. We don't, like, even just things like marijuana not being legal here now. Like, if the government knows, if you get 10 people, 8 of them have tried marijuana, and at least 4 smoke it weekly.
Yeah.
They could tax it. People, They could tax it so heavily here. It would fix so many problems just from the fucking amount of tax you would get from it.
It's coming. It's coming.
It's coming slowly.
Like, we already have, like, medical marijuana, and we never had that, like, X years ago, right? I
got a prescription just to see if it was real.
Well, there you go, right?
I don't even smoke marijuana anymore.
I was in San Francisco, and, like, this was, like, back in 2016, 2017, January, and weed was legal completely in Seattle where I was, but I traveled to San Francisco where it was only medically legal, and that was crazy for me. And we went to, like, you know, my mate had a medical pass where he could get some marijuana, and we were, you know, sucking on some lollipops, and it was all legal, right? And that was bonkers for me back then. And, you know, fast forward 8 years, now we have it here in Adelaide. It's like,
too bad for all the people in Thailand that got done with marijuana before they made it legal.
Is it legal now in marijuana?
It's 100% legal there.
So
like recreationally.
People would have been like executed.
People legit got executed for like a little bit of marijuana.
That
now,
sucks.
Now it's 100% recreationally legal there.
Was Chappelle Corby in Bali? Was she marijuana? Is that?
That's Bali. This is Thailand. Sorry,
Okay.
did I say Bali?
No. You said Thailand, but like
I think she was Bali.
Yeah, but was that marijuana though?
That was marijuana.
Yeah, so like one day Bali's probably going to eventually make it. Everywhere's going to make it legal eventually.
Has anyone done a podcast with her? She's out of jail, isn't she?
I think there's been conversations. Maybe you can ask her.
Oh my god, that'd be a cool one. I'm going to get onto that after this.
That'd be awesome. Imagine the stories you could tell from Bali jail, man. Like
that would be fucking horrendous. There would not be a worse country to go to jail in. Maybe an African country somewhere.
Oh yeah,
but
or like
Southeast Asian country.
Venezuela or something.
Venezuela's probably terrifying as well, or like some South American country.
Central America somewhere. Yeah, that would be pretty nuts. Yeah, there's a lot of jails and jail's bad. Okay,
jail's bad. Stay in jail.
Stay out of jail. Okay.
Play RuneScape.
Yeah, play RuneScape. That'll get you at Oxford.
Yeah. I won't keep you too long, but I wish you all the best on your journeys.
Thanks.
When
man.
you come back, we'll do this when you come back again.
Yeah, I'll be back. I come back in July, and if hypothetically I manage to successfully land a cool PhD offer, then I'll leave like October after that. So I'll be leaving like 2025, like end of the year, like 25. So I'll be around for a bit longer. So.
And where can people? Do you have like a page where? Do you have Instagram?
I don't really use Instagram. I try and keep off of like the other socials because of not wanting to be addicted by it. But
Twitter? Do you use Twitter?
I have a Twitter account. Yeah,
an X.
An X account. I've got a YouTube account that I'm slowly adding stuff to. That's usually like my work or my bootcamp related stuff. But I've also got like a website that I've made that I'm starting to try and write some blogs for. So I'm sure you'll put like the links in the
I'll put all the links in the descriptions for it. And where can people, if they are going into big tech interviews or if they're going into that type of work, how do they get in touch with you to get involved in this program?
So if people want to get in touch with me, one good way would be send me an ad on LinkedIn and put a note in the description to tell me who you are and what you're keen for. Also, you can email me directly, so ravihammond@gmail.com. That's one word, Ravi Hammond. Like if you email me, I'll definitely respond to you. Yeah, so absolutely. If you're keen to learn how to get into a big tech company, definitely send me an email. I'm always keen to give some advice.
Boom, easy man. Thank you.
Fucking
always a pleasure.